Even though Cesar Chavez lived during the 20th century, many people today are still migrant farm workers. They face many of the same challenges that migrant workers in Chavez's day faced. In fact, the work hasn't changed very much. Many people became migrant workers in the 1930s when the 7-year drought and subsequent dust storms destroyed their farms. These people packed up their belongings and made their way to California when their farms were ravaged by the Dust Bowl. They hoped to find work. Unfortunately, even though the climate in California was more conducive to longer farming seasons, the state already had more workers than it needed. Mexican or Filipino immigrants had already been absorbed into the agricultural system in the United States as migrant workers. The Great Depression was still raging. It made people reluctant to hire more workers than they absolutely needed. Few could spare the money to pay them. Life was still far from easy for the ones who did find work. Workers had to travel around the state and follow different harvests to make enough money to live. They would move on to another farm where perhaps oranges were ready to be picked when the potato harvest was over. There was always another crop ready to be harvested. That's where the migrants would go for work. When World War II began, many migrant workers enlisted in the army. By the end of the 1940s, the economy had improved drastically, and some of the Californian migrant workers settled down in one place. However, many continued to lead the same nomadic lifestyle of following the harvests around the state. Not much has changed for migrant workers despite the strides the United States has made since the 1930s. One major difference is that nearly half of all migrant workers today are not U.S. citizens. It is still an extremely difficult lifestyle, especially rough for the children of migrant worker families. They never stay in the same place for long. Families still follow the harvest seasons and travel from farm to farm. The United States Department of Labor lists agriculture as the second most dangerous occupation, and the pay is very low. Most migrant worker families' income falls below the poverty line, and therefore, access to health care tends to be limited. Additionally, the mortality rate for migrant workers is high. They also do not have access to most retirement funds or Social Security since many workers are illegal immigrants.